back to the years of Dr. King, I would say that the black church of that era helped change the direction of American history by calling attention to the fact that the nation had written people of color a promissory note that has not yet been realized, and written a check that bounced. Well, I hope that the black church will move away from so much of this prosperity gospel preaching to a prophetic message that will preach, "Thus saith the Lord," and that will say, like Amos of old, and like our sainted fathers and mothers, "Let justice run down as waters, and righteousness as a mighty stream." I hope that the black church of the future will be able to call our young people back to God and call them away from the many gods, the false gods, the gods of materialism, the god of immorality, the god of unbridled conscienceless power, the god that revels in an Epicureanism, Epicurus who believe that happiness is the goal of humanity. For God did not create us to be happy, but God created us to glorify Him. And irrespective of what our state is, we ought to be able to glorify the Lord in good times and in bad times. And then I hope that the black church of tomorrow will go back to the commitment of our elders, the elders that was committed to the redemption of Africa, the motherland. And Africa is in dire trouble. The AIDS problem is about to just write a foreclosure on the future of Africa. And so the black church has to rise up and meet that challenge. The black church has to be the light shining in the darkness. She may not be able to put the darkness out, but she ought to be shining in the darkness.
Well, I have a couple of more questions. I believe our timing is getting close to an end, but I think we can squeeze in one or two more questions. Two-part question. What does it mean to be a prophet, and are there prophets left in modern American religious life? And your comments on that, please, sir.
Well, you know, I'm reminded of the fact that a lot of American religion today is based on polls. And the polls is simply the opinion of the people. And so people have a way of categorizing who's the best gospel singer, who's the best gospel composer, which group is the best gospel group, which male chorus is the best male chorus, who preaches to the largest audience, which traveling evangelist has the most airplanes, which evangelist gets the largest honorarium. Well, that's antithetical to prophetic preaching. The prophets who are not very popular. And the P-R-O-F-I-T-S, prophets of the prophets, was not very much, because Amos said, I'm not only poor, I'm poor. I have to work on 2 jobs. First of all, as a herdsman, and secondly, as a gatherer of sycamore fruit in order to make ends meet. But this is what the Lord said. Mm-hmm. So a prophet is more concerned about proclaiming what thus saith the Lord, irrespective of what the polls have to say.
Okay. If you were a young pastor just starting your career, could you give me 3 things that you would set out to accomplish?
The first thing that I would do as a young pastor would be to govern myself. When I became president of the Progressive National Baptist Convention, I said to the late Dr. Gordon Taylor, tell me how I'm going to be successful as president, because, you know, I'm the president of all these pastors, and pastors have big egos. Mm-hmm. Dr. Taylor said, govern yourself. The second thing that I would try to do is to remember to be faithful, and I'd work hard at trying to be more obedient to God and faithful to the task that the Lord had given me. Be faithful. Unto death I will give you a crown of life. And then the last thing I would do, I would remember the advice that Napoleon gave his valet. He said to his valet, dress me slowly, for I'm in a hurry. There's a tendency for all young preachers who are ambitious to get in a hurry. Mm-hmm. But I would, because even today, I'm still trying to pass God's course in patience. And just when I think I've passed it, God says, no, you got to take the course over again. But if I'm patient, I realize that it's not about me, but it's about God.
That deserves another amen. One last question. I think we can squeeze it in. What do you know now that you did not know then? What has been some of your new revelations, something that you've gained a vast knowledge of now and just seemed to have slipped you in years gone past?
When I was a young man, I wanted to get to where I thought I ought to be. Mm-hmm. Because I had an artificial scale for success. I want to get there real quickly, and it looked like the time was traveling too fast. I mean, not traveling fast enough. Mm-hmm. You know, time looked like it was a turtle just creeping. Mm-hmm. And why doesn't God work faster? Why doesn't the church work faster? Why don't the people catch on faster? But now, since I'm a senior pastor, they call it Pastor Emeritus, I look back over it all, and I said, I just started this road yesterday. Where has the time gone? And so I would try to learn how to savor the moment and how to experience eternity in the moment, eternity in the temporal, eternity in the temporal. Eternity in the temporal is qualitative rather than quantitative. Eternity in the temporal can't be measured in terms of chronology, can't be measured in terms of times, can't be measured in terms of minutes and hours and days and weeks, can't be measured chronologically, but it has to be measured qualitatively.
Yeah, Pastor Quick was teaching on we're doing some strategic planning, and the word temporal was on our screen just last week in Bible study and what he's teaching us too.
Yes.
But I want to thank you for spending time with us this evening. We've learned so much. Thank you so much for being here, Pastor Smith.
Thank you.
And it's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to see you and your lovely wife. And
thank you.
We'll have to do it again sometime. So thank you so much for being here on tonight.
You continue your great work. And I'm in awe of the fact that you and Pastor thought that I would have something to say that's worth recording.
It's our pleasure. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Yes, thank you. I didn't know folks was out there.